Alrighty, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Saturday Start and Sit Q&A live stream for the week 1 of the 2023 fantasy football season. For the next 2 hours, from 1 p.m., I guess 1:01 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 3:01 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll be answering fantasy football related questions for week 1. If you guys have questions, please do me a favor and include what scoring format your question is in regards to, and all the other context that I may need in order to accurately answer the question. Now, with that even being said, there's still a lot of unknowns going into tomorrow that will be determined based on like injuries. I mean, again, we're talking about players like Darren Waller obviously popping up on the the injury conversation, being questionable. I mean, the tight end position this week is just in shambles. I mean, besides Kittle, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, of course, Travis Kelce missed on Thursday. There's a lot of questionable players. Of course, we're still in a situation where we know, okay, for a fact, at least Terry McLaurin's going to play. That's great. We got to hope that the weather is good, especially for those receivers in that contest. We know for a fact that Odell Beckham Jr. was able to log a full participation at practice on Friday, so he'll play. Like, there are going to be things that we'll have to figure out tomorrow, like Jerry Jeudy, what his entire situation is going to look like. But ultimately, I think I know enough and I've gathered enough information going into week 1 to confidently be able to answer questions. There are going to be some questions that I may say, hey, let's just wait till tomorrow, because that will truly give us the best opportunity to answering them at the highest, confidence in my mind. A couple things that I wanted to mention that, again, for those of you who have like a Darren Waller, going into the Sunday night football game between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants, keep this in mind. If in fact Darren Waller is questionable and you do not have another tight end to potentially play, or you don't have a tight end that you're confident playing in the early Sunday slate, you could always wait till Sunday night. If he doesn't end up playing, you don't pick up his backup. You don't want to play Bellinger. You could pick up Jake Ferguson from the Dallas Cowboys, play him, or you could wait and play Tyler Conklin for the Jets on Monday Night Football. Those are obviously available options, and those are kind of the best case scenarios. A lot of you may not have that opportunity, but just kind of want to throw that out there. Okay, let's get into answering some questions. Again, thank you guys for joining us. If you guys have not yet already, do me a solid. Click the like button down below. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, let's see. We had a couple super chats that were sent in. Starting off with Michael Barton. Michael, thank you very much. Again, you're always supporting in that regard. Greatly appreciate it. Your question is pick 2 for week 1. The question is in regards to running backs. We have Akers, Mostert, White, and Brian Robinson. I'm assuming that's Brian Robinson because any B-Rob that's by the name of Bijan Robinson is obviously an automatic start going into the given week. If I am playing players out of that group, I would play Mostert and Akers in a half PPR. If you're playing in a full PPR, I'd probably play White and Akers. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. Stephen Drakes, long time no see. Hope you're doing well, Stephen. My man Andrew, Lawrence or Geno Smith this week is your question. Also, how do you feel about Waller and Andrews' injuries? Full PPR. Thanks, man. All right. So in regards to your quarterback question, I do really prefer Trevor Lawrence going into the matchup. I think Geno Smith's going to be great regardless because of the fact that he's found success, specifically even last year, even though he struggled at times and turned over the ball 4 times in the 2 games against the Rams. That secondary is completely depleted in comparison to what it was last year. But in comparison to the Indianapolis Colts secondary, that secondary is not even close to being the same. No Isaiah Rodgers, no Stephon Gilmore. There is a lot to like with Trevor Lawrence in that matchup, so I'm leaning in that direction. I'll play Lawrence there. As for the Waller and Andrews, like I was just mentioning in terms of comments as to how I would approach the Waller situation based on his injury, obviously I'm looking for other alternative options if I have to. Ultimately, I do believe Mark Andrews is going to play, and I also believe that Darren Waller is going to play. So with that being the case, we're probably in a situation where you kind of hold pat. Someone in the chat just mentioned WDE Mon 85. W Demon. I don't know why. I just didn't want to read it at first. I didn't think it was going to be a real word. W Demon 85 says, what about Kincaid? Is he a good play instead of Waller? If in fact Waller doesn't play on Sunday night, of course, Dalton Kincaid is a great option to play on Monday. I mentioned names that would probably be rostered less often, like Jake Ferguson and Tyler Conklin, because my assumption was that you wouldn't have Dalton Kincaid available. But W Demon, yeah, that's a great alternative option. But yeah, in my mind, Steven, I'm expecting both those tight ends to play. I know someone in the chat was asking earlier if Mark Andrews doesn't play. I forget the name. I saw it when I was playing the intro music. If he doesn't play, should we play Isaiah Likely instead of him or Cole Kmet? I know that was the exact question, just don't know who asked it earlier. At that point, I would probably just play Cole Kmet. Just putting it out there. I know Isaiah Likely would be a great option, but I think in comparison, I mean, Isaiah Likely is a good tight end, but he's not Mark Andrews level. It's like Noah Gray trying to fill in for, Travis Kelce. It's nothing that's going to be out of this world production. So yeah, I'd go with Cole Kmet in that regard. But anyway, we'll talk about more of that in regards to what kind of a indication we have tomorrow. I got to check. When do the Baltimore Ravens play? They play at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning Pacific Standard Time. So we'll know for sure before kickoff, while I'm live streaming tomorrow morning, what we're going to do with him. So I'll make sure that we're all up to date. If you guys can kind of swing on by tomorrow, hopefully that'll be the case. I'll have rankings available, updated on screen, so we're good to go. Let's see here. What happened? Okay, let's go ahead and let's do something here. Boom. That's good. Okay, cool. So John Smith asked a question. John Smith asked specifically, in a full PPR scoring format, would you play Judy, Bateman, or Dalvin Cook? If Judy is active tomorrow, I would like to play him. We'll know if he's active, obviously, because the alternative play of Judy, in my opinion, after that would be Dalvin Cook. I would not start Rashad Bateman out of those three potential options in a full PPR scoring format. He's got to stay healthy, and I've got to see him get more utilization than an OBJ and or Zay Flowers for me to feel confident in that overall start. So if Judy plays tomorrow afternoon or is suiting up, I would start him. If he doesn't, of course, you have Dalvin Cook to play on Monday, and you'll be good to go there. John, thank you. Appreciate it. Corey Hoover says, in a PPR, start 3, sit 1, we have James Cook, Javonte Williams, Kenneth Walker, and DeAndre Swift. Ooh, this one's tough. So I'm for sure playing Kenneth Walker and James Cook. Those are the two that I'm very confident about. As for Javonte Williams and DeAndre Swift, it's a little bit tricky because we know that Javonte Williams is going to be on a snap count or pitch count of sorts. That being said, he was not limited at all during practice this week in comparison to someone like Breece Hall. So the assumption is that Javonte Williams is in a better position and will probably be utilized a little bit more than a Breece Hall. But is he going to get more utilization than DeAndre Swift? I currently have DeAndre Swift ranked higher than him because I do believe with all the utilization that Samaje Perine and McLaughlin, I think Jaleel McLaughlin, the other running back within this Denver Bronco, I think they're going to have a three-headed monster to begin with until Javonte Williams really finds his footing. So I'll take DeAndre Swift there as the final option. Thank you. Trojan3659 says PPR Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams. I'll take Miles Sanders there. Thank you. As for your follow-up question, in a half PPR, Javonte or Antonio Gibson. Again, man, I don't feel confident about playing Javonte Williams. Even against Antonio Gibson, I'd probably roll with Gibby. Thank you. Dave McGahee says, Madison, Herbert, or Sanders, full PPR. I would play Alexander Madison. He's a thumbnail. He's going to get himself unimpeded volume of opportunity. And like I've mentioned all offseason, that is exactly what you want from your primary backs. We're expecting the same from Miles Sanders and Khalil Herbert, but it probably won't be at the extent in which Miles Sanders will pretty much have that opportunity because there are other running backs like a Deontay Foreman, Roshan Johnson, Chuba Hubbard. We all know that Frank Reich, obviously former head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, back in the day when he had a Nyheim Hines, he wanted to always utilize two backs and get them rotated. We'll see Chuba Hubbard get a lot more potential rotational reps in there, which certainly will hurt. In comparison to Ty Chandler, I don't think he's really going to make much noise in comparison to Alexander Madison's overall efforts this weekend against Tampa Bay. So I'll go with Madison there. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Mark, a good lad, sends in a question, says PPR flex, Deontay versus the 49ers, or do I play Deion Jackson or Khalil Herbert? I would play Khalil Herbert out of the three. Now, Deion Jackson could end up being a potential flex start. For those of you who do not have, an Alvin Kamara because of the suspension, maybe you don't have Jonathan Taylor, maybe you're struggling because of the injuries of guys like Cooper Kupp. Obviously, now he's going to the IR. We have Christian Watson dealing with an injury. So Deion Jackson could be a value because Zach Moss has already been deemed out. He's not going to play this week. So it's between Deion Jackson, Evan Hall, the rookie running back. I expect Deion Jackson to get the vast majority of opportunities within that backfield. But between the three options that you mentioned, I will play Khalil Herbert. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mark. All right, let's get into this chat. Let's see what we got here. Before we do, a couple reminders. Again, like I was mentioning, I will be live streaming again tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. Maybe I start early. Maybe I start at 7 a.m. I don't know. We're going to keep it a surprise. But typically, I usually start at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I go until kickoff, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, every single Sunday morning. So if you guys are interested, I'll have updated rankings on screen for all four primary positions. Additionally, for those of you guys who want rankings for all positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, kicker, defense, I mean, I guess what else is left? Tight end, and flex rankings for both half and full PPR. Be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy. If you sign up today using code Andrew and make a first-time deposit, minimum of $10, you'll get my rankings every single Sunday morning from my email to yours, sent, ready to go, so that you can set your lineups and hopefully have yourself a very successful 2023 season. Of course, void of injuries. It's going to be tough, but we'll have to continue to try to just grind through it. It's a marathon, not a sprint, obviously. But if you guys are interested, you can check that out today. For those of you who are wondering if you're potentially eligible, the map to the bottom left of the screen should determine your eligibility based on your age. In specific locations, of course, you may be prohibited. But either way, check it out. Gamble, at this point, it is, in my mind, how do I want to phrase this? Excuse me. In my mind, if in fact you're not able to, potentially get one of these eligible locations, you could check out the Patreon. I think it's a really good opportunity, not only just to ask me questions, but also get the same kind of content in regards to rankings, such like that. So if you're interested, check it out. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's answer some of these questions. We had a question that came in from, let's see here. Where art thou? Mark in the chat was saying, should I trade James Conner for Gibbs right now? Yes. If you can, you absolutely should, without a doubt. Guys, we all saw what Gibbs was able to do on Thursday. He, with the ball in his hands, is extremely efficient. The whole question is going to be, is he going to be able to get enough touches? As the season goes on, we're truly going to get far more utilization with Gibbs, and eventually he will overtake Conner, or specifically, he's going to overtake Montgomery, but he'll be significantly more valuable than James Conner, especially considering that team is trending in the wrong direction. Okay, let's see here. We had a question that came in from WRM. He says, pick 2, Charbonnet, Dion, Brees, Addison, 1 running back, 1 flex. Considering you didn't mention a scoring format, I'm going to assume it's a half PPR. So based on the current question, I'd play Dion Jackson and Brees Hall. Thank you. We had a question from Fear. Fear said, Michael Thomas or Dameon Pierce full PPR? Ooh, that's a really good question. I think Dameon Pierce would need a touchdown to be at the same level of what Michael Thomas is capable of producing in the given week, based on how I expect that matchup to go. So despite the fact that, Dameon Pierce, I think I'll probably just play it safe. I think I kind of want to wait and see what Michael Thomas is capable of. Yeah, it is really close in my mind, especially considering the full PPR. It really does give an extra bonus of value to Michael Thomas in that regard. But I think I'll stick with the running back and go Dameon Pierce. Rockout says, Flex 1, Javonte McLaurin, Ayuk, JSN, full PPR. I would play Terry McLaurin there. Thank you. C. Banger says, pick 2, full PPR, Sanders, Madison, Debo, or Dobbins. Thank you very much. Nice to see you, C. Banger. Hope you're doing well. Between the available options that you mentioned, I would play Dobbins and Madison. Thank you. Moving on. Alicia says, in a half PPR, Godwin / Amari Cooper. Okay, if I'm picking one of the two, I would play Amari Cooper in the matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. On the other side, we have a question of Lockett, DJ Moore, or James Cook. I'd play Lockett over the rest. Thank you. Appreciate it. Paris Lark says, in a guillotine league, start 2, guillotine league. We just got to not be last place, We've got to have upside, but we also just can't sell the bag in the given week. All right, Paris. So in a guillotine league, starting 2 of the potential options, Jaden Reed, Marvin Mims, Tyler Conklin, Hunter Henry. Okay, so first and foremost, I'd play Jaden Reed there as the secondary option, under the assumption that Jerry Jeudy does play. I don't want to play Marvin Mims. If he doesn't play and he doesn't suit up tomorrow, then we'd feel comfortable starting Marvin Mims. Outside of that, if that isn't going to take place, I'd play Conklin as the number 2. So it would go Jaden Reed and Marvin Mims if possible. Otherwise, play Conklin in Marvin Mims' position. Thank you. The Armory says, full PPR, flex Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, or Mike Williams. In a full PPR, I'd play Mike Williams there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Also, you mentioned that you drafted Travis Kelce, Kupp, and Jonathan Taylor. Wow. And I need, you need all the help you can possibly get. The fact that you were able to get all 3 of them at the discounts that you were, hopefully once they're, fully active and healthy later on in the season, you got to remember, there's 14 weeks till the until the fantasy football playoffs, right? So if you can survive until then and break even, go 2-2, 3-1, and then let your studs kind of roll in, I think you'll be in a pretty good spot. Dorsey 501 or 5001 says, pick 8 team, not pick 8. 8 team PPR, Superflex League, We have Lawrence. We have Bijan Robinson, Gibbs, Garrett Wilson. I mean, goodness gracious. Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, Godwin, Daniel Jones. My bench consists of Hall. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do, Dorsey. You've got a monster team. I mean, really, you just keep it as such. You start your studs every single week, and best of luck. I mean, that is an all-star team to say the least, man. Best of luck. Unknown says, pick 2, Gabe Davis, Sutton, Breece Hall, Pirine. Out of the bunch, I'd probably play... I'm leaning towards playing Sutton alongside of... Do I want to play 2 Denver Broncos in 1 week? I think I'd want to diversify a bit. I think I'd probably play Sutton alongside of Breece there. Thank you. Jackie says, Higbee or Waller, week 1. I mean, again, is Waller active? If Waller is active, I'd like to play him. But the issue is we don't know until Sunday Night Football whether he's going to be active. Obviously, late week injuries popping up could certainly mean, he tries to warm up before the game, he's not good to go. Like I was mentioning earlier when I started the live stream, if you have the potential of picking up players such as Jake Ferguson, all those kind of, Dalton Kincaid, Tyler Conklin in the Sunday night and or Monday night games, you could end up waiting. But I have Darren Waller right just barely ahead of Tyler Higbee. So why even make, the risky play? I just play Higbee there and not really just sweat it at all. I expect him to play anyway. So if you want to risk it, you absolutely can. But I think you have the potential of not having to risk it because of the personnel you have on your team. Jack sends in a question, says, in a 12-man standard league, I want to upgrade any ideas you have in mind. We have Henry, we have Herbert, we have Pierce, we have Charbonnet, we have Algier. Our wide receivers are AJB, Olave. We have Dotson, London. Okay, really good wide receiver set there. And then you have Lawrence as quarterback, Freiermuth and Kincaid as your tight ends. I mean, if we're primarily upgrading, you're going to have to get rid of some studs here. Because if at any point you want to upgrade your running backs, right? Upgrading from Dameon Pierce or Khalil Herbert, who are like RB2s, if you want to move up from there, you're going to have to get rid of them because whoever you trade to, they're going to want a running back in exchange. And you're going to have to throw a wide receiver like London, Dotson, maybe coming off of a hot week on top of it in order to make an upgrade. Otherwise, I think your primary thing is don't worry about tight end. You'll probably find, if in fact, Freiermuth and or Kincaid do not pan out, you'll find someone off the waiver this year because there's always 4 to 5 guys that come out of nowhere and are like tight end ones by the end of the season. So you can just wait on the tight end position. If you're looking to upgrade, it's certainly a running back. You want to probably wait until someone has a hot week at wide receiver and then probably ship him with a running back and make a big play for someone that's obviously being undervalued. Someone's going to have a bad week this week. If you guys remember week 1 of last season, Austin Eckler had like 6 points. Let me go confirm this. Week 1, there's always a couple players that are going to underperform. And in those situations, you absolutely want to take advantage of fantasy managers beginning to kind of worry on the current circumstance and just find yourself the ability to, trade with them, take advantage of the opportunity. Like if I go back to last season, week 1, let's see, who underperformed? Josh Jacobs had 7.3 fantasy points. Austin Eckler had 7.2 fantasy points. Derrick Henry had 8.2. Najee Harris had 8.6. I mean, there's just a plethora of names out there that just did not perform well in week 1 of last year that you were able to go ahead and invest in. I mean, Alvin Kamara last year, 4.6 week 1. Zeke, 4.9. Like these are players that still finished, as top 24 backs. So under this assumption, you can always wait, see what happens after week 1. Actually, that's in a standard scoring format. If I take a look at a half PPR, Eckler is at 9.2. Where are we at here? Josh Jacobs still at 7.8. Derrick Henry 8.2. Okay, so anyway, you get what I'm saying. Just wait. Let's see how this transpires, and then start swooping in on running backs that did not perform well in week 1, because there certainly will be guys that unfortunately don't find the end zone. Are a little slow to start within a given season because of the opportunities that they're given. So that's kind of my suggestion at this moment. Otherwise, you got a pretty solid team. Let me go ahead. Why is this not working? Why is this messing with me? That's my no. Stop doing that. Here we go. Goodness gracious. This tab is like spazzing out. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Jack. Trojan sends in another question. Says, have we already answered this question from Trojan? This is another question. Miles Sanders or Deontay Johnson or Cortland Sutton? I play Miles Sanders out of the group. As for your follow-up, Godwin or Antonio Gibson? I play Godwin. Thank you. Boxo Card Productions says, PPR flex spots. Start 2, Godwin, Ayuk, Brandon Cooks, James Cook, Mostert, Mingo. Also, I traded Bijan for Tony Pollard. Okay, that's fine. Was that a bad gamble? Time will tell. I mean, listen, by tomorrow night at about, I don't know, let's say 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll know what kind of a, overall outcome that was. Do I think it's a terrible gamble or bad gamble? No, I don't think it's a bad gamble. I think they're both very talented and capable running backs who are going to see a lot of opportunity this year and also should both probably play very well. So I think we're good to go there. Where are we at? So in regards to your prior question, starting 2 in a full PPR scoring for my box. So Godwin, Ayuk, Brandon. Okay, so out of the potential options that you did mention, I really like playing Chris Godwin there alongside of Raheem Mostert. That'll be my suggestion. Thank you. There was a question that was from where did that go? Okay. Thoughts on Zach Charbonnet this week. So even though we did see Kenneth Walker III pop up on the injury report, he was then cleared of that and the designation was removed. So then your follow-up question to that question was Charbonnet versus Dillon. I would play Dillon over Charbonnet this week. I expect more opportunities going in his direction. And then Bateman versus Pittman, I would play Michael Pittman Jr. there. Thank you, Wes. Appreciate it, my man. Okay, Boxo had another question. Says extra bread for the fantasy. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that, my man. Marwan says pick 2 of these 3 options. Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Miles Sanders. I would play Miles Sanders and DeAndre Hopkins. Thank you. Appreciate it. Blonde's Hedge says Nico Collins or Brandon Ayuk. Nico Collins could be a very sneaky good play. It is going to depend purely on the weather, guys. We know that, right? I mentioned it yesterday. And then it's funny enough. Yesterday, I'm looking at the weather report for week 1 of the NFL. And it says in Baltimore, Maryland, we're going to have a nice rainstorm. I look today and it's like, yep, Sunday looks like only a 40% chance of rain now. If, in fact, that's going to be the case, you got to remember Marlon Humphreys, the number 1 cornerback of the Baltimore Ravens, he is out this week. That could very, very well, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to make Nico Collins like a top 24 player, but he certainly will get himself opportunity because the coverage difficulty is not going to be, as tough as what Marlon Humphreys would provide based on his efforts in a given week. That being said, for now, I'm going to lean towards Brandon Ayuk. Okay, thank you. Let's see here. Patrick Glazer in the chat was asking half PPR, Andrew, Ridley or Lockett. Yeah, I'm sticking with Ridley there. I have a lot of confidence of him going up against that secondary. I like Lockett as a must-start. I think he's a player that probably should be in a position to be in your lineup, but based on the fact that it's between him and Ridley, yeah, Ridley is the guy that even though I mean, yes, he's coming off of a huge drought of time in which he hasn't played. The matchup, the preseason work, everything we've seen from training camp, the reason why they went out and traded for him, he's going to make an immediate impact on this offense. All right, let's see here. Total Chad was saying, anyone remember the Thanos stones? Yeah, I do. I mean, listen, I can go find the gauntlet somewhere. It's somewhere. I don't know where I put it, but it's somewhere. Also, it's funny enough, when we were starting up the stream, somebody said like, hey, Deion Jackson is the energy stone for this week. And I sat to myself and I read that comment. I was like, there's no such thing as an energy stone. I'm like, there's everything else. There's mind, space, power, soul. I mean, energy is not even in the realm, but hey, I love it. Total Chat followed up by saying, can you do superhero styled weekly breakdown featuring Batman and Batman villains this time? The Rogues Gallery of Batman. I mean, that is what, like, who? I mean, you'd have to really elaborate on that one, man. That you'd have to really elaborate. Like, what are we doing? Is someone the bane of the week, the bane of my existence of the week? Is that what we're going with? Like, who's the poison ivy? Who's gonna really make us itch by the end of Sunday? Is that what we're doing? Like, I mean, I'm starting to make something here. It's starting to sound good. Don't get me wrong. It really is. I'm the time stone. Are you? Please tell me who is going to be the running back that I have too low ranked within the given week. Anadi, tell me, please. Joe, yeah, it was Joe Santo. Joe, it's okay, man. I love it, man. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. We had a question come in from Efren. Efren said, let's see. Okay, when it comes to the Rams, okay, making me worry about Cam Akers. Buy, sell, or hold Cam Akers. I mean, okay, let's think about this, right? Logically. Late last season, when there was no Cooper Kupp and no Matthew Stafford, that was where Cam Akers pretty much thrived within the offense. So I'm not too worried about the idea of how much rushing utilization he's going to see. The other running backs in this backfield, Kieran Williams, Zach Evans, they are not going to pose enough of a threat in my mind to make Cam Akers a lesser option within a given weekly basis. So it's purely going to be based on his offensive line, which is improved, healthy. They brought in guys. And the fact that they have Stafford, they can keep drives alive and pretty much keep some of the pressure off of Cam Akers because of the play action passing game. So I'm not so worried about it. Again, I still have him ranked as like a top 20 back, in the pre-draft process. And going into the season, I'm still pretty confident there. Let's see here. Thank you very much for the question, Efren. Sandra had a question, said, nice to see you back, my friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kirk or Mostert? If we're playing in a half PPR, I'm probably playing, man, Christian Kirk is a slippery son of a gun, man. He sometimes will actually figure it out and find the end zone. He did it twice last season. Two separate games, found himself a lot of success against Indianapolis and Kenny Moore. I just really like Mostert this week. I think the matchup is going to be very high scoring, and the pace of play there from the Dolphins leads to potentially Mostert finding the end zone and then getting everything else good to go there. Someone in the chat was saying Rams are going to be 0-5. Don't worry, I know that. That's not even in my mind. Of course, they're going to lose a bunch of games this year. Doesn't mean that they still can't be fantasy relevant, right? If we were going off of like records controlling fantasy success, right, we would all have to draft everyone from the Eagles and the Chiefs and all those top tier teams, and we'd have to avoid anybody from the bottom tier. Like we still find value in guys like Dameon Pierce, regardless of the fact that he's associated with the Houston Texans or Rashad White or Chris Godwin, regardless of the fact that they're associated with. I like the colors in the chat. Regardless of the fact that they're associated with Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, etc. So record doesn't really matter for fantasy purposes. We're good to go. Let's see here. So yeah, at this point, I really do like Mostert, Sander. Mike sends in a question, says 2 wide receivers, Treylon Burks, Nico Collins, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, PPR. Out of the group, I would play Nico Collins first and foremost, and then the second option that I probably roll with is Elijah Moore there. Thank you. Let's see here. Where is cool? Where was your other question? That's what I'm looking for. Where is it? So we had that question that came through. Was there any other question? Because I did answer. I prefer Dillon over Charbonnet and Pittman over Bateman. So if you had another question, be sure to type it in the chat. But otherwise, I think we're good to go there. John Aguilar says Zeke is the time stone. How is Zeke the time stone? Someone's got to explain that one to me. The logic doesn't make sense there. Okay. That's just, okay, we're done there. Let's go ahead. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Let's see here. We have, where are we at? Dre Plays in the chat was saying, rank these 3.5 PPR. Mostert, Herbert, London. I'd probably go Herbert, Mostert, London. Herbert, Mostert, London in that order in a half PPR. Thank you. Anthony Richardson, Brock Purdy, or Jordan Love. Going into this week, Anthony Richardson. That Pittsburgh Steelers defense is great. They really have made a lot of significant improvements in terms of personnel, which will make a difference. And, of course, they're healthy. And that's a huge difference in comparison to where they were this time last year. Additionally, Jordan Love without Christian Watson, I feel like the offense is kind of hamstrung, for lack of a better term, in that overall regard. So I'd go with Anthony Richardson, hope for the rushing upside, and then the potential of course, Trevor Lawrence taking an early lead in that game, and, of course, forcing a lot of shotgun scenarios in which they're passing the ball heavily, and maybe a lot of QB scrambles that get our yardage that's going to allow Anthony Richardson to maintain that like top 15, 16 standing-ish area. Thank you. Appreciate it. We had a question that came in from Mohammed. He said, thoughts on Kamara for the season? I had him ranked within the top 30. I think he was like my number 28 ranked back or something of that extent going into the draft process. Again, once he comes back, the willingness of Derek Carr to target his running backs in the offense. You look back at last season, of the overall, I think, 64 targets that Josh Jacobs was able to haul in, 59 of them were on first and second downs. So if we can start to get more utilization in the receiving game from Alvin Kamara, especially compared to last year, even if he's not finding the end zone as much as he used to, he'll still be far more fantasy relevant because of those overall opportunities that he's given in the passing game, which really weren't a present available option with Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston last season. So obviously that makes a huge difference maker. And I think once he comes back, of course, should be like that RB2, RB3 range, depending on how they want to utilize Jamal Williams alongside of him. Fear had another question. Fear said, full PPR, rate my team. I have Justin Fields, great. Eckler, Mixon, fantastic. Dameon Pierce is you have Dameon Pierce coming off the bench, which already is great. You have Perine, Kenneth Gainwell, Deuce Vaughn. So we have a couple handcuffs that have potential upside. Amon-Ra, Lockett, Christian Kirk, Michael Thomas, Elijah Moore. Don't know who your tight end is, which certainly is going to make a difference. But in the long run, based on Fields, Mixon, Eckler, Amon-Ra, Pierce, Lockett, Kirk, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm hoping that you have a solid tight end. It should set you up for success there. Ultimately, the fact that you got running backs that are also heavily involved in the receiving game with Mixon and Eckler, it goes a long way in that regard. Justin says, Nico, Flowers, or Pierce in the flex. I'd probably play Dameon Pierce there. Unless they were receivers that I knew were going to be guaranteed for targets. I know John Mechie is going to be out for the Houston Texans, but again, he didn't play last year, so I don't know what to expect from his utilization. If in fact we were in a situation where I knew what I could expect from a guy from like Zay Flowers, I'd feel more confident going that direction. But for now, I'm just going to lean towards the running back that I know is going to get a high volume of touches. Mad Dog's Abs says, pick 2 of 3 of these potential running backs in a full PPR. Connor, Cook, and White. In a full PPR, I'm playing White and I'm playing Connor. It may be crazy, but I really like the receiving upside in comparison to what I got. Well, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I did mention it earlier this week. Last season, in the 2 games in which the Jets did take on the Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Bills targeted their running backs a boatload of times. I think it was like maybe 18 targets in 2 games. So there may be an opportunity for James Cook to get more, utilization in the receiving game. Where do I even have him ranked? Let me go pull it up right now. I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Where do I have Connor comparatively? I have Connor. I have Rachaad White and Connor ahead of James Cook. That's probably where I'm going to go with it. But I could talk myself into, like I was just about to, playing James Cook over Connor because of Connor's difficult matchup, etc. Let's see here. Tony. I always love that name, Tony. It's great. Full PPR, Mark Andrews on a snap count or Higbee? I don't know if Mark Andrews is going to be on a snap count. We'll know that by tomorrow morning. If you're worried about the scenario, you could play Higbee, but I would like to play Mark Andrews. If he's active, he's in my lineup. That's just how I'm kind of going to approach it. Similar to the way in which I was talking about Travis Kelce earlier this week. If in fact Travis Kelce's active, he's in my lineup. Same thing with Mark Andrews. These guys are studs, and if they're healthy enough to play, I think they're healthy enough to be fantasy relevant. Let's see here. We had a question come in from Sal. Sal said, in a half PPR in a 12-man league, Zay Flowers, Treylon Burks, Charbonnet, or Perine. Out of the group of players there, it's between Samaje Perine and Zay Flowers. In my opinion, I'd probably play Samaje Perine there. Thank you. Fast in the chat was saying, post your ranks in the split screen. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. I'll have those available, ready to go. I am 9527 says, Michael Pittman Jr. or Marvin Mims half PPR. Let's play Michael Pittman Jr. this week. Thank you. Khalil Herbert or Mike Evans says, living in East Bay, California. Interesting name. I would play Khalil Herbert over Mike Evans this week. The fact that he wasn't given a contract extension today, he is already he's already in a bad spot with the organization because he wanted a contract extension. They may end up trading him. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I'm looking towards Khalil Herbert against that Green Bay run-stop defense. That is awful. You look at the continuity of that defense. Every single Green Bay front seven starter is returning this year. So really, they're the same guys. And quite frankly, they've always been bad at stopping the run, and they'll continue to be. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Benjamin. Benjamin, thank you very much. Says, start Dalvin Cook or George Pickens in the flex. Ooh, I probably play Dalvin Cook there. He wasn't limited. Breece Hall was limited all week. I think Dalvin Cook will probably get himself a good utilization, not even on the ground, but also through the air. I'd probably go Dalvin there, to be honest, yeah. I like George Pickens, but again, he'll probably finish the week with like 4 catches for 65 yards, 70 yards. That's what I'm thinking. So if you're playing a full PPR and you just want like the 10 points, like by all means, go for it. You're good to go there. But otherwise, I think, and obviously Pickens has touchdown upside, but so does Dalvin Cook in this regard, based on the offense he's associated with and how much Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett, their offensive, kind of scheme is predicated on getting the running backs involved in the receiving game. Let's see here. Flying Low says pick 3, Mike Evans, Lockett, DJ Moore, Miles Sanders. So Miles Sanders and Lockett are the 1-2 there. My number 3, as of this week, would probably be DJ Moore. I'm not playing Mike Evans. I like Mike Evans. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But in the current matchup, how inconsistent he was last season, despite having Tom Brady as his QB, he was so inconsistent. I mean, you go back to last year. I know year to year it's hard to say, oh, well, he was bad last year, so he has to be this year. No, it's just a matter of like the offensive ineptitude that existed within that entire organization, and the fact that for, what was it, like 10 consecutive weeks, he did nothing. Let's see here. From weeks 9 through 16, his fantasy point total 6.5, 7.9, 4.1, 7.9, 6.4, 10.8, and 4.4. Like, he got targets 11, 6, 9, 4, 9, 9, 8. Just wasn't efficient with the GOAT throwing him the ball. I mean, Baker Mayfield, listen, guys. I'll play DJ Moore, Miles Sanders, and Lockett ahead of him. Let's see here. Cody, thank you, Cody. I appreciate it. Says, thoughts on Javonte? Again, the fact that he wasn't limited at practice this week leads me to believe that he will be far more utilized than someone like Breece Hall. So he is, he is usable this week. I still want to wait and see what kind of utilization he gets, respectively, not just in like the rushing attempts, but how much utilization is he going to get on the goal line? Is he going to be in those goal line packages? Is he in on third downs? Or is that Samaje Perine's role? Like, is he going to be the pass blocking, or is he going to at least go out for routes? Like, these are questions that we don't have answered because of the fact that he's coming off the knee injury and it's a new coaching staff in comparison to what we had last year. So at the moment, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we kind of want to wait on him in comparison. Your question was thoughts on Javonte. I have Perine and Elijah Moore. I'd rather play Samaje Perine there. To the max says, first team full PPR. I need one. I have Jamal Williams, Rashad White, Nico Collins, Jahan Dotson in a full PPR. Okay. George Pickens. Okay. So in the first team, it's between Jamal Williams and Rashad White. If I'm picking one in a full PPR, I take Rashad White there. Follow-up questions. Second team, full PPR. I need 2 between Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Addison, Deontay Johnson, James Cook, and Breece Hall. I'd play DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk there in your team 2 to the max. Thank you. Appreciate it. Living in East Bay says, Addison or Dobbs this week? I mean, considering the fact that there's no Christian Watson, it's probably Dobbs. Let's see here. Jamal Williams, Mostert, or Gibson in a full PPR. In a full PPR, I'm still probably rolling with Mostert, Jamal, Gibson in that order. Paper. Thank you. Bryce says, should I have went Tony over Jacobs in my draft, as in Tony Pollard? Yeah, I mean, I like Tony Pollard more than Josh Jacobs this season. Kevin Edmonds in the chat says, answer some of these Mike Williams questions, sir. Sure, absolutely. What Mike Williams questions do we have? Okay, so we had Diego have a question in regards to Mike Williams. Says, Mike Williams, Jahan Dotson, or Drake London? Choose 2. Out of those 3 options, I'd play Mike Williams and Jahan Dotson. Moving on to Oliver's question regarding Mike Williams. It says, full PPR, wide receiver 2, Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, or Christian Kirk. I'd play Mike Williams there as the wide receiver 2. There's another question from Nabel. He says, Mike Williams or Michael Thomas. I play Mike Williams there. And I think we covered it from all the Mike Williams questions. Maybe there's other ones. Kane 2K says Brian Robinson, Mike Williams, Jahan Dotson. I'd probably play Mike Williams there as well. I mean, again, Mike Williams in the matchup should have himself a pretty good week, guys. He really should. This offense is going to be a lot more explosive than it was last season with Kellen Moore now taking over the helm as the offensive play caller. He does call his plays like he's playing Madden, but I mean, honestly, I think that helps for the purposes of fantasy. It does get those guys more, heavily involved. Let's see here. Sergio says, in a flex standard format, Mike Evans or Deion Jackson. I'll take Deion Jackson there in the hopes that he falls into the end zone. Anadi says, "Hi Andrew, love the channel. In a 12-team half PPR league, can you rate my team? We have Mahomes, we have Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Mixon, Madison, Njoku, D-Hop. Notable bench options are Jonathan Taylor, great, DeAndre Swift, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas. I mean, overall for a 12-team league, starting off with JJ number 1, Mixon in the second, Mahomes in the third, then following it up with Madison and Keenan Allen. Again, you've got pretty good depth across the board. I like the bench players, especially the upside of JT once he returns. It's a solid looking team, man. Solid looking team. We just got to hope that Patrick Mahomes gets Travis Kelce back sooner rather than later. Even without Travis Kelce, it is hilarious how Patrick Mahomes, he can look like he's always limping when he's running and he's jogging. He always looks like he's limping, but no one can tackle this man. He is the most unelusive quarterback of all time, and it is incredible to watch. I mean, it's special. It really is. It really is special to watch this guy kind of limp around and find himself gaps where no one can even touch him. I think people are mainly afraid of putting a lick on him too, because they don't want to get, a $50,000 fine in their mailbox from FedEx on Monday, but it is what it is. Hunter says Javonte Williams or DJ Moore this week. I don't, at this point, I think I'm just playing DJ Moore. I'm going to wait on Javonte Williams, guys. I really am. Update on Ramondre Stevenson, says Phil. I mean, the update is that he should be relatively healthy. Luckily, it's not like a hamstring or a knee issue. He was just, he felt ill on Friday, so they didn't let him practice. So he was dealing with an illness. If in fact, it was a stomach bug or something like that, maybe he couldn't leave the toilet bowl, whatever it was, he'll be past that by Sunday, and I think he'll be good to go. They'll probably give him like a nice IV, get him rehydrated. He'll be fine. Lou 8304, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Lou says, in a half PPR, I need a flex to replace Christian Watson. Do I play Antonio Gibson, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy if he plays Zay Jones, or Elijah Moore? Greetings from Switzerland. Thank you very much, Lou. I appreciate that, man. All the way out from Switzerland playing fantasy football, huh? We love it. We love to see that. Of the available players that you mentioned, if in fact Jerry Jeudy is playing, we'd love to have him in our lineup. Let me see. When does the Denver Broncos game play? I think it's in the afternoon slate for PST. They take on the Broncos take on the Raiders at 1:25 p.m. PST, and your alternative options would be all morning game players, huh? Yeah, that is right. So with this scenario, we're kind of in a tricky situation here, Lou, because Antonio Gibson, Elijah Mitchell, Zay Jones, and Elijah Moore. Does Elijah Moore play in the afternoon? They all play in the morning. So you either pretty much have to play Antonio Gibson in the morning or Zay Jones, or you just risk it for the biscuit and you wait till the afternoon and you play Jerry Jeudy. I think we'll know by tomorrow morning at least a better idea as to whether or not Judy's going to play. Tomorrow afternoon we'll know for a fact, but by tomorrow morning I think we'll have a better answer. For now, I want to play Jeudy. I don't think he would have been limited all week to be out this week, but then again, Zach Moss, the running back for the Indianapolis Colts, he was limited all week at practice. He's not playing. So there's a chance that we could have that. And if that is the case, we'd probably just play Antonio Gibson instead. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Thoughts on Zay Flowers with Kupp out? Kupp being out, I'm assuming is that you're just trying to fill in for your wide receiver position there, Isaac. Thoughts on Zay Flowers? At this point, I kind of want to wait and see what exactly this Todd Monken offense is going to look like. The assumption is, of course, without a doubt, that they're going to throw the ball more. But if, in fact, the weather becomes a problem, if, in fact, OBJ, Rashad Bateman are the veterans and they're going to be on the field more often, they're going to see more routes ran, they're going to see more targets, it could be tough to start a rookie, despite how good he is, immediately within an offense that we know he's not, is he even considered a quote-unquote starter on their depth chart? Let's see. We go to the Baltimore Ravens depth chart. Their wide receiver 1 is OBJ. The wide receiver 2 is Rashad Bateman. Yeah, he's there. If they're going to run, 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receiver sets, he'll be in on those personnel sets. But if they're going to go with a 2 tight end set like they usually do with Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, or potentially have Patrick Ricard out there as like a fullback / tight end, he's not going to be on the field, or at least won't be there as often. So I'm going to wait a week on Zay Flowers. That's kind of my, primary thought. If he is significantly better, even, it is tough for him to be significantly better than other options, but he could be. Just depends. Jacob in the chat was asking long-term, Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison, or David Montgomery, half PPR. Where did I have them ranked this offseason prior to the draft? Let's see here. So, I mean, it was just a couple weeks ago. Let me see. Draft guide rankings. Let's go figure this out. So in a half PPR, I had Alexander Madison ranked 17. Sorry, Miles Sanders ranked 15. Alexander Madison ranked 17. David Montgomery ranked 18 going into the year. So Miles Sanders is the highest ranked player within that overall. I have Sanders and Madison in the same tier. I have Montgomery a tier below. So it's between Madison and Sanders. I prefer Sanders because I know he's going to be a 3-down back. And based on the offense, the coaching staff, all of that, he should probably get himself 45 plus receptions. That's kind of why I'm leaning in that direction in comparison. Thank you. McLaurin or Cooks? Let's play McLaurin this week. Cousins or Geno? Let's play Geno. Thank you. Either way, Geno and Kirk Cousins, they're both fantastic plays based on their matchups, but I do like Geno's rushing upside to get him a little bit more potential upswing of fantasy points, which would be great. Fast says bad weather in Baltimore. I mean, let's look at the update of the weather report. As of right now, what I'm reading is it says 39% chance of rain at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Baltimore Ravens kickoff in Maryland. Let me look at one of my other resources for the weather. It says light showers, about 7-mile-per-hour wind expected. Again, those aren't huge difference makers, but they could play a factor. They could. That's just let's just put it out there. Let's see here. Jurgen in the chat says PPR flex Dotson, Kirk, Ryan Swift, week 1. I'm playing Christian Kirk there out of those group there. Jurgen, thank you. Donald Smith says DJ Moore, Dotson, or Godwin, full PPR. I would play Chris Godwin out of those 3 there, Donald. Thank you. Virgil says Mike Williams, J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker, pick 2. Oh, man, in a full PPR, I think I'm playing both running backs there, which is tough, man. I really like Mike Williams this week, but I think I'm playing Kenneth Walker and J.K. Dobbins. I think both of them have capability of finding the end zone and getting a high volume of touches. So unless Mike Williams finds the end zone, it'll be tough for him to outscore them despite the full PPR format. So I'm going to go with the running backs there. Let's see, Nico Collins or Juju Smith-Schuster. That's a really good question. I was actually doing ranking adjustments earlier this morning, and I was asking myself that same question. I came to the conclusion that I'd rather play Juju going up against Avonte Maddox. He's going to probably be the primary slot corner of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'd play Juju there. You know, it is funny, though. Juju was talking a lot of smack this offseason after that Super Bowl win, and the Eagles are going to want to put a lick on him. They definitely will. Mostert or Khalil Herbert. I think I have... Who do I have ranked higher at the moment? Let's see here. I have Khalil Herbert 1 spot ahead of Raheem Mostert going into the week. Adam Thielen or Van Jefferson. I don't even know if Adam Thielen is 100% going to play Full Metal Blade. I don't know if he is. If he ends up playing this week, I'd probably rather play him over Van Jefferson. Let's see. What time does he play at? Is he in the morning slate of games? He is, in fact, in the morning slate, 10 a.m. And so are the Rams, I believe. No, the Rams are in the afternoon. So you'll have an opportunity tomorrow morning. We'll know if Adam Thielen is a go. If he is, I'd rather play him over Van Jefferson going into the week. Thank you for the question. Let's see here. We had a couple donations sent in. We had Brett. Thank you very much. Brett says, who wins this trade? Higgins for London and Dotson. Oh, man. I think it really depends on what kind of a format we're talking about. Because if you're playing in a deeper league, like if you're talking about 12 to 14 teams, I think the depth of having London and Dotson and the potential of one of them, taking huge strides forward in their second year really could make a difference. If you're playing in a league that's like an 8-team league, sure, we want Higgins, right? We just want the better players. We don't care about the depth because there's so much available on the waivers. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, it depends on format. Deeper league, I want the depth. Smaller league with less teams, I'll take the talent. But it also depends what else is on your team. You know what I mean? Let's see here. I saw something in the comment section. Where did it go? Ando, what's up, man? How you doing? Najee Harris, James Cook, DeAndre Swift. I'd play Najee Harris there. No Name says half PPR Jeff Wilson for Deion Jackson. Should I trade Jeff Wilson for Deion Jackson? I mean, what do you need Jeff Wilson for? And then the follow-up is, what do you need Deion Jackson for, right? Like, if you're going to utilize Deion Jackson for this week, you have to understand that next week, Zach Moss is going to return, right? Now, if you want to hold Jeff Wilson to then maybe potentially have him in the mix within the Miami backfield like he was last season, and he was relevant in some good matchups, we could really utilize him there. So I guess it's a matter of like, what is your motivation for wanting Deion Jackson? Like, do you think he's going to out-snap and out-carry Zach Moss even in the return? Do we think that Jonathan Taylor's not going to return? And if that's going to be the case, or potentially be traded, and if that will be the case, Deion Jackson will be the starter. Like, I think it just depends on what your motivation is. Otherwise, like, these are two kind of irrelevant players in the grand scheme, or at least for right now they are. Who has the highest upside? I mean, I think at this point it's probably someone like Deion Jackson because the backfield's kind of open at the moment. But yeah, I don't mind it. An IR player for someone who's at least starting now that could help you. I don't mind it. Whatever. Let's roll with it. We had a question. Where's Phil's question? It says thoughts on how they used Gibbs on Thursday. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of expected, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, he did kind of give us a little bit of an explanation as to why they utilized Gibbs in that fashion. Like we've said all offseason, right? Dan Campbell used to be the tight ends coach for the New Orleans Saints when Sean Payton was able to utilize both Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara in Alvin Kamara's rookie season 2017 and find a lot of value out of both those guys. Both of them were top 6 running backs in fantasy. So under the assumption that we're going to see a slow kind of gradual increase of opportunity, similar to the way that Alvin Kamara was presented that last season, if you guys, or not last season, in his rookie year, if you guys remember rookie season, Alvin Kamara was splitting carries with Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson to begin the season until Adrian Peterson was traded to the Cardinals later that season. Nonetheless, I think over time, Gibbs is going to be an absolute monster. You saw how effective he was. If he doesn't trip and fall, the guy beats the defense to the edge and absolutely scores a touchdown. He's a 15-point player within the week. So just putting it out there, if in fact you have an opportunity this upcoming week after his kind of only 8-point performance to trade for Gibbs, you should, because it is going to play he's going to play a bigger role within that offense. He truly is. I understand. Like I said, David Montgomery is the Jamal Williams of that offense. It's a given. We know it. He's going to get all the dirty touches. He's going to average 3.5 yards per carry. He's going to get goal line touches. But eventually, a healthy Jahmyr Gibbs will prevail. Let's see here. And I mean, honestly, they're both going to coexist. They're both going to be fantasy relevant. It's just eventually you won't have to worry about Jahmyr Gibbs. You'll be just excited about his potential every week. Cameron White says, DJ Moore or D-Hop as my wide receiver 4. I have Fields. Yeah, I'm still going to play D-Hop there. Thank you. We had a question from Lewis in the chat. He says, Puka Nacua, as in the rookie wide receiver for the Rams. Marvin Mims, JSN, as my second flex this week in a full PPR. In a full PPR second flex, I'd play JSN there. Because they're all rookies. I don't know what to expect. I know Puka Nacua could play the slot position, but I mean, he's not Cooper Kupp. Like, it's just, yeah, it's tough. I think I'm just going to roll with JSN there. Let's see. Luke in the chat, Luke Newcomb, 35, says start 2, Judy Pittman, Khalil Herbert. Yeah, if Judy plays, him and Khalil Herbert are the guys. But again, we'll have to wait and see whether or not he plays. We had a question from where you got to attach your questions, or you sent in a couple donations, but you're not attaching the questions to them, my man. We did answer a couple of yours earlier, but there's nothing in the chat and there's nothing attached to them. So be sure to keep that in mind. Thank you again. So we took care of Brett's question. We're moving on to Justin. Justin says, why is fantasy football so addicting? Thinking emoji. Why is it so addicting? Because football is the greatest sport on earth. I mean, that's just a fact. Why is it so addicting on top of the fact that football is so enjoyable to watch? It's because there's the excitement factor. It's the unpredictability, right? It's it's having hope and then having that hope flourish into success, right? Like if you're in a position to where you're like, okay, I believe this is going to be an outcome. When the outcome comes to fruition, the self-enjoyment of that is so addicting to be able to predict correctly on futures. I mean, take it from firsthand experience from me, man. It is really addicting. It really is. There was a question. Where is it? Did you see my question? It says Miracle Robinson. Let's see here. Control F. Miracle Robinson. Cousins or Geno? Yeah, I think I answered this earlier. I could be mistaken, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Geno there over Kirk. They're both really good players within the given matchups this week. I think Kirk Cousins is gonna ball up, but so is Geno. The only reason I like Geno a little bit more is because of the rushing upside that he presents on a weekly basis in comparison. So that was the answer. I answered that a little bit earlier, but maybe you didn't hear me. Miracle, no problem. John Butterballs and asks me a question via super chat. Thank you very much, John. Says, just tuning in a full PPR, start 2, Gibson, Dotson, Ayuk as my wide receiver 3 and flex. Yeah, I played Dotson and Ayuk there. Thank you. Appreciate it, John. Dave says, in an 8-team league, half PPR, Herbert, Lamb, Ridley, Terry McLaurin, Christian McCaffrey, Jacobs, Andrews, Hall, and my bench consists of Madison, Swift, Thomas, Judy. Ooh, all-star team. Where can I upgrade? You really can't, man. I'm going to be honest. You're playing in an 8-team league. You shouldn't have to upgrade at all. McCaffrey and Jacobs, 2 top 8 running backs. Lamb and Ridley, 2 top 12. Herbert, top 6 or 7 quarterback. Andrews, top 2. Madison, top 20, along with Hall. You have Swift for the potential upside. You have Judy, who's a top 20 receiver when healthy. Like, really, you shouldn't have to upgrade, honestly. If you just want to make trades just to make trades, go for it. But I don't think you have to. Jan says, full PPR pick 2 between Mostert, Connor, Rachaad White, and Javonte. In a full PPR scoring format, I would play Rachaad White. Do I want to play Connor over Mostert? I probably end up playing Mostert there. I probably go Rachaad White and Mostert. Yeah, I probably play Rachaad White and Mostert. Thank you. Appreciate it. But Connor's a close second because the assumption is he's going to get himself receiving work because of the game script being negative. I just don't know how much utilization Joshua Dobbs is going to send in his direction. Because I knew in the past, like, okay, without Kyler Murray, Colt McCoy is a check down machine. But I don't know if I can say the same thing about Dobbs, which scares me. So I'll lean towards Mostert in that regard with Rachaad White. Thank you. Abster, you didn't have a question attached here, but we can go ahead and find it. Gerald Everett or pick up Juwan Johnson. I prefer Juwan Johnson, personally. I don't think Gerald Everett's a bad play this week, though. I have Mark Andrews on the bench. I have Mark Andrews, and my bench is Gerald Everett. Should I pick up Juwan Johnson? I expect Mark Andrews to play. So, under that assumption, you don't have to make any moves. Do I rather have Juwan Johnson than Gerald Everett rest of the season? Yes. Do I think they're all 3 great plays this week? Yes. Do you have to make a move? No. Moving on, we had Pedro's Lucario. Nice to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Standard flex. A-Rod, Waller, JSN, Deion Jackson. When you say A-Rod, what are we referring to? Because the only A-Rod that I know is Aaron Rodgers. So what are we doing here? Who the heck is A-Rod? Am I maybe, yeah, someone's got to explain that to me. Until we get a clarification on that, let me go ahead. Let's see what's in the chat. Devin Montana says start 2 Lockett, Allen, Metcalf, or Burks in a full PPR. In a full PPR, Metcalf and Allen are the plays there. Matt Stanley in the chat was asking, what are your top 5 defenses for the week? We will mention them tomorrow, but really, they're going to be rostered. So let's just put it this way. Baltimore number 1, Washington number 2, San Fran 3, Eagles 4, Jacksonville 5. Okay, let's just put it that way. So if the Washington Commanders or Jacksonville Jaguars are available, maybe, right? Maybe. Allen Robinson? No, that would be A-Rob. This is A-Rod. Okay, so let's just, Pedro, are you in the chat? Pedro says Rodgers. Oh, so actual Rodgers. So it's a super flex league. So yeah, you should play Aaron Rodgers alongside of Darren Waller if you can. Yeah, that should be the play. If you can. Those are your 2 flex position starts. Done. Go. If you're worried about Waller and you don't have a positional kind of substitution for it, then you just play Deion Jackson there in a standard league. Thank you. Blake Crisp says in a half PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. We have JSN, we have Michael Thomas, we have Mostert, and we have Swift. Of the available, I really like the idea of playing Mostert next to Michael Thomas there. Thank you. Lankdog says, start 2 in the flex, full PPR, we have DJ, as in Deontay Johnson, I'm assuming. Mike Evans, Mike White. Sorry, not Mike White. Rashad White. Also, I have Okonkwo at tight end and Henry as my running back. Should I go with it or try to waiver wire scoop up Kmet or Jawan Johnson? I would, again, I still prefer Jawan Johnson over Okonkwo this week. That being said, to answer your prior question, I would probably play, DJ could be DJ Moore. Regardless, whether it's DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, I'm playing those, whoever that is, alongside a White over Evans. But yeah, I do prefer Jawan Johnson over Chikazimo Okonkwo this week. I think the matchup against the Titans really does bode well for tight ends. So I'm hoping that pretty much flourishes for Jawan Johnson. We know Derek Carr likes to use the tight end position a lot. They're going to continue to get that utilized down in the Bayou with the New Orleans Saints. Dylan Patrick says, do you think the Ravens defense will be fine without Humphrey? Yeah, I really do think so, because think about it, right? Even without Marlon Humphreys in the game, the main offensive threat for the Houston Texans is Dameon Pierce. And the run-stopping defense of the Baltimore Ravens is still intact. So regardless of the fact that they have one secondary member gone, I do believe that the pass rush and the run-stopping force that is the Baltimore Ravens defense is going to put enough pressure on CJ Stroud, make him uncomfortable, and it's still going to be the top defense of the week. Hayden Phoenix says, Watson outplay Flowers or Reed? Good question. I'd probably play Flowers if the weather's fine tomorrow. Otherwise, I'd probably just pivot back to Reed. Albert Martinez says, Andrew, D-Hop or Mike? I'm assuming Mike is Mike Evans. I'd go D-Hop there. Let's see. We had David Luna says, Kupp is on the IR. Does it help or hurt Akers? I mean, we're still starting Akers this week as like a top 20 back, right? And like I was mentioning earlier, the assumption of like, hey, Cooper Kupp's out, therefore they can stack the box more. Even last season without Kupp or Matthew Stafford, Cam Akers was a fantasy like playoff darling. The guy was unbelievable late last season. Week 18 of last year, literally played all 100% of the offensive snaps for the Rams. Like he didn't come off the field. He was utilized a lot on third downs. He ran like over 100 routes in the final 6 games of the season. Obviously wasn't targeted much because you had guys like Baker Mayfield, John Wolford as a starting quarterback there. But ultimately, like the guy in his final games last season from weeks 13 on, 17 attempts, 12, 23, 19, 21. Like he was given ample opportunity. That is not going to disappear now that Kupp is gone. He's still going to get himself a lot of opportunity. The offense is healthy, and Matthew Stafford will hopefully get him more utilized in the receiving game. Let's see here. Alex Mendoza says, Godwin or J.K. Dobbins this week in a full PPR? Ooh, my goodness. I think the logical approach is typically when you're talking about a receiver of Godwin's caliber to go with the wide receiver in a full PPR. But man, do I like J.K. Dobbins this week, guys. Like I really do. So I think I'd probably roll with J.K. there. Addison or McLaurin? Absolutely play McLaurin, guys. He's fully healthy. He fully practiced twice this week, Thursday and Friday. McLaurin's back. For those of you who were able to draft him, you got him at a massive discount. Appreciate that fact and let it roll. Someone in the chat, David Pena, says, D-Hop or Higgins? I will go with T. Higgins there. Thank you. Okay, so we're about an hour into the live stream. Again, we have another 55 minutes of me answering questions. A couple reminders. If you guys have not yet already, do me a solid. There's 600 of you in here. If we can get a very similar number in terms of overall likes, that'd be greatly appreciated. Again, I'm trying to help you guys all out as much as I possibly can in regards to week 1 and beyond, again, for the entirety of the 2023 season. So show me some love. Click that like button. Greatly appreciated. Additionally, a couple reminders. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., maybe earlier, but at least by 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll be live streaming here on the channel for 2 hours. Kick off with Kirchhoff, answering questions. I'll have updated rankings for top 36 running backs, wide receivers, quarterback, top 16 quarterbacks, top 16 tight ends on screen. We'll talk about defensive and kicker rankings as well. But for those of you who want full expansive rankings for all positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, and defense, for both half PPR and for full PPR, and want all of my flex rankings every single week from weeks 1 through 18 sent from my email to yours every single Sunday morning, all you got to do, check out Underdog Fantasy. Make that first time deposit after using code Andrew. Minimum of $10 is all you need. And every single week from weeks 1 through 18, you'll go ahead and you'll get my rankings. Be sure to check your spam folder tomorrow morning for those of you who have already gone ahead and done so. If you want to make sure that you want to take advantage of this opportunity, again, you first and foremost have to be eligible. The map on the bottom left should determine that. Your eligibility is based on, of course, age and location. So make sure that you are within those overall confines. Additionally, if you go ahead and sign up today, there is a specific new customer official promo where you can get a first-time deposit, and it'll give you a mystery pick'em special where, similar to like some of the other pick'ems where it's like 0.5 yards for Patrick Mahomes or 0.5 yards total for Saquon Barkley, where it's a free pick'em, you can go ahead and get that taken care of this week. Start off hot with a first-time deposit match with everything good to go. But again, if you want to take advantage and get my email for tomorrow morning, make sure, if in fact you're going to sign up today, you do that before midnight, because I get my update for the email at 1 a.m. and that's what I'll be sending them. Oh, I'm not going to send them out at 1 a.m. I'll probably be done with rankings at like 3 a.m. But then I'll just start boom, 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 sending it out. Check your spam folders. Keep that in mind. I appreciate that. A little bit later on, probably in about 2:30, I'm going to go ahead and travel over to Underdog Fantasy, put together a couple pick'ems for tomorrow's slate of games. But otherwise, we're going to continue answering questions. I do appreciate it. I saw the like number continue to go up. But hey, guys, listen, there's 600 of you in here, only 223 likes. It takes a half a second of your effort, but it means the world's difference to me. So if you guys could do me that solid, thank you. All right, NT Basin says, last one, McLaurin or Dobbins? I'd go with Dobbins there, man. I'm kind of all in on the Dobbins train this week. Let's see here. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I really didn't know what to go with, either Dobbins or gonna go Cook, says Alex. Yeah, Alex. Yeah, at this point, again, Dobbins is the guy that I'm kind of rolling with in this week. Giancarlo Jimenez says, full PPR, need 3. Flex, 2 flex. Okay, here we go. What do we have here? We have Zay Flowers, Marquise Brown, Burks, Brandon Cooks, and Deion Jackson. If you need 3, 2 flex, and wow, okay. 2 flex, 1 receiver. So I probably play Brandon Cooks as no, you know what? I probably play Marquise Hollywood Brown if he's healthy. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, so I don't know if he'll be active tomorrow, but Marquise Hollywood Brown would start if he's ready to go. Then it'll be Brandon Cooks second, and then I'd probably play Deion Jackson third there. Giancarlo. Derek M says, in a 12-team half PPR, Ayuk, Dobbs, Flowers as my wide receiver 3 this week. I'm probably playing Ayuk there. Second would be Dobbs. Third would be Flowers. Thank you. Thoughts on Jamal Williams and his trade value for a wide receiver. Jamal Williams is valuable for 3 weeks. This week, he has a very difficult matchup, but the plus side advantage to his overall game script is the fact that without a doubt, he's going to get himself a pretty hefty volume of opportunity. There's no Kendre Miller. There's no Alvin Kamara. With a full backfield to himself and the potential receiving work that comes along with that, he should touch the ball like at least 15 times, if not more. And hopefully gets, red zone utilization. I'm not going to guarantee that he can fall into the end zone because, Taysom Hill is always, the looming shark that's ready to, kind of vulture stuff away. But at this point, Jamal Williams, he's got 3 great weeks ahead of him. Next week and the week after, weeks 2 and 3, his matchups are beautiful. So unless you're going to draft him to use him, his trade value really only is confined to 3 weeks. I don't really know how much you're going to get out of him trading him now. All right, we had a question coming from Rockout. He said, I need to drop one. Zay Flowers, Kenneth Gainwell for a defense. It depends on what kind of depth you have on your team. If it's me, I kind of want to wait and see what this Philadelphia Eagles backfield ends up looking like in terms of contributions of their different options. So I think I drop Zay Jones there in hopes that maybe Gainwell gets a little bit more utilization and then you've somehow kind of hit a lottery ticket of sorts. So let's just wait on that. Let's hold Gainwell. Let's hear. We had Anonymous sends in a question. Thank you, Anonymous. Says half PPR, Dylan, Javonte, Mims, Jaden Reed. I need 1 running back and a flex. As of those available options, I probably just play AJ Dillon and Javonte Williams. If it was a full PPR, I'd have more trust in Jaden Reed, but I think I'm just going to play both running backs there. Anonymous, thank you. Elo says flex Jalen Warren, Charbonnet, or Gainwell. I play Charbonnet out of those three. Yeah, that's my kind of approach on that regard. Ando A says Dulcich or Hurst. I'd probably play Hayden Hurst there. Let's see here. Josh Nelson says, Andrew, which two in a full PPR? Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Godwin, or Amari Cooper? Out of those available options, I would rank them in order of Keenan Allen number 1, Amari Cooper 2, T. Higgins 3, Godwin 4. Thank you. We had a question from, where did it go? I saw it a couple times, and now I've lost it. I think it was Win. Where's Win at? Win. Let me find him. Win. Where are you, Win? Where are you? I gotta find you. Maybe it'll pop up again. I don't know where it went. Maybe I'll do a little bit of scrolling here. Let's see. Where did Win's question go? We had a question from Gary. Gary says, Kenneth Walker or Tyler Lockett in a full PPR? I think I probably just lean with Kenneth Walker there. It is tough, man. Lockett is going to have himself a good game, but I think Kenneth Walker's should be fully healthy. He's off the injury designation, so I'm not too worried about that overall situation for now. Thank you, Mo. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Where did Wynn's question go? Oh, you know what? Maybe I just spell his first name out. Really? It's just not there. Okay. Well, it's gone. I tried to F3 function. It disappeared. Emil says Michael Thomas or Addison in the slot. I'll take Michael Thomas there. Toast says B-Rob, as in Brian Robinson, Ramondre, Javonte, or Connor as my RB2. I'd play Ramondre Stevenson as your RB2 this week. And do I play Dotson in the flex over any of those other guys? I would probably play Connor over Dotson in the flex in a half PPR. Thank you. JK says full PPR. Start 2 running backs in 1 singular flex. We have Herbert, Najee, Aaron Jones, Rashad White, London, and Pickens. 2 running backs in a flex. I'm starting all running backs in this regard. We're going Aaron Jones, we're going Najee Harris, and we're going Rashad White in a full PPR. Thank you. Scooby says start 1 in a half PPR. Dotson, Khalil Herbert, Pickens, or P. Ryan. I'm playing Khalil there. Thank you. Your Face channel says any hope for Zach Ertz? I don't know, man. He's coming off an ACL. He's like 34 years old. It is tough. Like I actually had the other tight end within Arizona ranked higher going into the draft this season. So I'm not expecting much out of him. So yeah, at this point it is very sketchy. I'm not starting him this week. Not with Josh Dobbs. Especially, yeah, it is tough. I'm assuming that Zach Ertz will probably be traded sometime this season, because why would a team want to hold him on roster if he's in his final years and quite frankly are tanking? So they're probably going to move him. So if you want to stash him on your bench, you can, but otherwise we're really not looking to start him anytime soon. DJ Moore or Cortland Sutton in the flex. I'd play Cortland there this week. Michael Martinez says Mike Evans or Miles Sanders. I'll play Miles Sanders. Thank you very much, Michael. T-Money Reacts says Fields, Josh Jacobs, Dobbins, Olave, St. Brown, Hawkinson, Lockett, Dotson, and Kupp, along with the bench consisting of Dillon, Gibson, Deontay Johnson, London, Everett. Who should I trade in an 18 PPR? Who should you trade? I mean, oh man, who should you trade for? Olave and St. Brown are great. Hawkinson's great. Fields is great. Jacobs is great. I guess you could get an improvement at RB2. Kupp is on your IR. I guess he'll come back. If you want to move Kupp, you can, but at this point, you're probably not going to get back the value which he'll be able to provide to you once he does return from the IR stint. So you probably hold on to him. You have enough depth in an 8-team league to be able to survive this until he does return off the IR stint of the next 4 weeks. So I'm probably looking at who are we trading for? I mean, at this point, how do you make a trade and then succeed in it? This is what you have to do. T-Money, you got to wait this week. If J.K. Dobbins goes off and has like a 20-point monster week, at that point you move him and you go get a running back that has been undervalued. Like at this point, like I'm serious. I'm going after Jahmyr Gibbs in every single league that I'm in. I'm going to try to go trade for him in every league because of what he just did. And eventually there will be other running backs that have underwhelming weeks in week 1, and once they do, you got to go, scooping after them, asking questions, trying to see what you can get in that regard. Any hope for Murray to get to being a top 5 quarterback when he comes back? Probably not. Without Murray's mobility, he is not the same quarterback. If his ACL tear is that significant, even once he returns, I don't think he'll be a startable fantasy prospect with that offense and that team. Justin says, does Gus the Bus Edwards have a role in this offense? I guess we'll see tomorrow. My assumption is his role is RB2. What does that really translate into? Maybe 6 rushing attempts a game, if he's lucky. Eric Foreman says, Godwin, Sanders, or Waddle, one has to go in a PPR scoring format. Man, that's tough. Waddle has to play. That's the given. It's just a matter of, do I want to play Sanders or Godwin? I'm probably playing Sanders there. Thank you. Brian Robinson or Dameon Pierce in a PPR? Brian Robinson or Dameon Pierce? Let's see here. Where do I have them ranked accordingly? I think I have Dameon Pierce ahead of him. I could be wrong. In a PPR, I do not, actually. I have Brian Robinson ahead of him going into the week. Thank you. Would you start Jamal Williams over Dameon Pierce? Yes, I would. Let's see here. Mike Thomas or Brandon Ayuk this week? Ryan, I'd play Brandon Ayuk. I mean, I think Michael Thomas could find success, especially considering how great the Tennessee Titans have been in terms of stopping the run and how inept at times they have been in terms of stopping opposing receiving options. But I think I'd rather just go with the known commodity. Michael Thomas has been absent for quite some time. It's like as he's been missing as much, or actually he's missed more time than Calvin Ridley has, to be honest, as of the last couple of years. Yeah, I kind of just want to wait and see, considering what that matchup provides. How do we think George Pickens will do against San Fran's defense? Jeff Lee says. Jeff, I was mentioning it earlier. I think he's like pretty much in line for like 4 catches, 65 yards, maybe 75 yards or 70 yards. So in a full PPR, like 11 points. In a half PPR, probably barely is underneath that 10-point threshold. That's kind of where I have him in my mind. Obviously, touchdown upside swings everything, but it's going to be tough. That defense is no joke. Start Dalvin Cook or Breece Hall in a half PPR. I'd rather play Dalvin Cook. Breece Hall was questionable and limited all week. Why limit him all week in practice consecutively unless you were going to also keep him limited within the game, keep him on a pitch count, and be in a position to where they're going to give Dalvin more opportunity. Thoughts on Mixon as my flex guy? 1,000% fantastic play. Rockout says A-Rod or Howell in a good matchup versus Arizona. As of right now, I have Aaron Rodgers ranked literally one spot ahead of Sam Howell. I have Aaron Rodgers as my number 16 quarterback, Sam Howell as my number 17 on remaining quarterbacks in the week. Thank you. Eric Foreman says, okay, we took Eric Foreman's question. Good to go. Team Money React says, Dotson, London, or Khalil Herbert as my last flex spot. Of those available options, in your format, I'm probably playing Khalil there. Thank you. Tyrone says, Lockett, Dotson, or Ayuk, full PPR. I'll play Lockett there. Thank you. Tight end question from Jake. Says full PPR Musgrave or Juwan Johnson? I'd still play Juwan Johnson there. Should I drop Russell Wilson for Mingo? I mean, is Russell Wilson starting for you? Because if he's not, then yes, you should. Brooks says Christian Watson's replacement in a half PPR, Tank Dell, Marvin Mims, Quentin Johnston, or Zay Jones. I would play Zay Jones over the bunch, Brooks. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Fast says, should I hold on to Kareem Hunt? Probably not. I think I could find other players on your waiver wire that I'm more willing to hold on my roster this week, right before the games, just in case. If he pops off, great. If he doesn't, he's dropped on Tuesday anyway. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, there are going to be gamble players that you can go after, pick it up, and just kind of wait and see what happens this week. I'm not waiting and trying to hold Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt has to be signed only in the scenario in which someone gets a running back who's on a competitive team and their starting running back gets injured and they don't have a backup that is, qualified enough to be able to handle all the remaining touches. So I don't really see Kareem Hunt signing until we see a devastating injury. It's not like it's impossible. It happens every year. It's just, when is that going to hit? Are we worried about the weather in Baltimore regarding Tucker? I don't know, Jacob. That's a good question. I'd have to go look at splits in terms of Justin Tucker in weather situations, but I mean, he's he's used to the Baltimore weather, right? He's played there every year throughout his entire career, and he's been a very successful kicker. Now, are there going to be scenarios where the 7-mile-per-hour wind could affect him? Sure, but I'm sure I've definitely seen him kick in 20-mile-per-hour winds. I'm not too concerned about him. I think he'll be fine. Start Breece Hall this week? I mean, depends. Who are your other options, Nathan? Bill says start Komet or Irv Smith. I prefer Komet in the standard. Darius says Drake London or Miles Sanders. I'd play Sanders there. I don't really I don't trust Desmond Ridder objectively enough to be able to start him or start his receiving option, his number one receiving option, over someone like Miles Sanders, who's going to be in an offense that predominantly wants to run the ball. Thielen, Chark, or Mingo, full PPR when healthy. Thielen is going to be the guy that I prefer when all are healthy, but I guess time will tell as to what kind of utilization each get based on this week and going forward for Bryce Young and how he wants to kind of utilize those guys. Daryl Noon says, if Andrews is out this week, does Likely jump ahead of Njoku or Freiermuth? No, he does not. I would still play Njoku over Likely if, in fact, Mark Andrews does not play tomorrow morning. Higbee or Goddard in a full PPR this week. Paolo, I'm all in on the Higbee train, and that's where I'm going there. Let's see here. My running backs are Jamal Williams, Nick Chubb, and James Cook. Says Columinati. Great running backs. For this week, solid. Nick Chubb should be great. Williams should see a lot of opportunity, and hopefully James Cook gets himself some receiving upside like a lot of those Buffalo Bills running backs did last year, specifically Devin Singletary in those matchups against the Jets. Let's see here. C. Burr says, love the vids. Start one, Javonte, Jamal Williams, or P. Ryan. I would play Jamal Williams over the other options there. Win says, my guy Andrew, full PPR, Dotson, Sutton, Herbert, or Swift. Choose one. I'm playing Herbert there. Thank you. All right. Hickey sends in a question, says sit 2.5 PPR, Mike Williams, Drake London, Ayuk, and Dotson. If I'm sitting 2 of those options, I'm definitely playing Mike Williams. That's a given. But am I sitting Jahan Dotson? No. I'm going to probably play Jahan Dotson and Mike Williams. I'm sitting Ayuk and London. Nathan says, sorry about that. James Cook, Breece Hall, and Samaje Perine full PPR. If I'm playing one, it's James Cook. Nathan. Aaron Jones or J.K. Dobbins says, Juba, I'm playing Aaron Jones, baby. All the way. He should, I mean, week 2, 2022 against the Chicago Bears, Aaron Jones, 30.5 fantasy points. Christian Watson's out, means more targets available. Man, it's going to be a good day for Aaron Jones fantasy managers. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be a good day. Lockett or Judy? I'd play Lockett, regardless of whether or not Judy participates in the game. What do you think about Sam Howell? Sam Howell, as of right now, is my number 17 ranked quarterback of all remaining quarterbacks. So that is excluding Patrick Mahomes and Jared Goff because they've already participated. So Sam Howell is in the middle of the pack, right after guys like Anthony Richardson, Derek Carr, and Aaron Rodgers. Ahead of guys like Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford. So kind of in the middle of the pack. Could have himself a great game. Could be a run-heavy game. Time will tell. I'm assuming he'll be able to get his receiving options utilized. And based on how he participated and played well in the Week 18 matchup last season against the Dallas Cowboys, his only start of his career, he was pretty decent. I mean, what was he? 11 of 19 passing. Not the most efficient quarterback, but ultimately, again, that was his first start of his career against Dallas defense. But what I liked about him was he had 35 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. That is the difference maker for fantasy purposes to really get ourselves into a upper tier echelon of potential. Ray makes a great point in the chat. He says there's about 590 of you. Let's try to get to 500 plus likes. If you guys could do me a solid, again, it takes half a second of your effort. Click the like button. It absolutely continues to help me create daily fantasy football content, bring these streams to you guys, and answer as many questions as I possibly can. I'm trying my best, and I hope you guys appreciate that. Click the like button. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Dulcich or Hayden Hurst? Ando, I think I answered that a little bit earlier. We're going Hayden Hurst there. Junior says, hi, Andrew. Happy to be back. I have Aaron Jones and James Conner. I also have Breece Hall. Would it be wise to plug in Hall for James Conner in week 1? Thanks. I'm going to suggest you don't. Breece Hall was limited all week at practice. He's going to be on a pitch count. I think Aaron Jones and James Conner are certainly better options going into this week, Junior. Dylan was saying full PPR pick 1. Godwin, Debo, Hopkins, Conner, or Kenneth Walker. I probably just play Kenneth Walker there, Dylan. CJ Spinner says Madison or Kirk In the flex, I probably play Alexander Madison there. Goddard or Higbee, I play Higbee. Thank you. Alrighty. So in about 5 minutes, I'm going to head on over to Underdog and put together a couple pick'em slips. Maybe you guys can help me do so because you guys are some demons out in these pick'em streets. We had a question that came in from Michael. Michael said, Deontay Johnson or Miles Sanders this week? Thank you. I would play Miles Sanders. Thank you. McLaurin this week, ? Says Lucas, despite the turf toe diagnosis earlier in the week. So that turf toe diagnosis actually came in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he fully practiced Thursday and Friday. So we're good to go. Terry McLaurin is all systems go in a great matchup on hand. So no issues there. Fire him up. Good to go, Dylan. I'd go with Kenneth Walker there. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Mikey. Thank you very much, Mikey. Says Kenneth Walker or Deontay Johnson. Give me Kenneth Walker there, man. Fresh Prince CT says Collins, as in Nico Collins, Gabe Davis, or Treylon Burks. I'd go with Nico Collins there. Alex OE says, what about Waller? Okay, so here's my suggestion about Waller. If you guys didn't hear me in the commentary I had earlier today in regards to it, this was at the beginning of the stream, so about an hour and a half ago. So here's the context. If Darren Waller is not going to play tomorrow, you will have to either start someone before the game or have an alternative option that is in that Sunday Night Football game or in the Monday Night Football game that is available for pickup and play. So what that means is you are either going to have an available option that is worthy enough of a start in comparison to Waller, or you wait till the Sunday night game, pick up Jake Ferguson, start him in his place, pick up Daniel Bellinger, start him in his place, or potentially if someone like Dalton Kincaid, Tyler Conklin are available, those are the two better options. They both play on Monday night for the Bills and the Jets, maybe Dawson Knox. You could go ahead and pivot there with a kind of waiver swap of somebody on the end of your bench that you don't need. So, and it would be helpful if in fact they do deem Waller out. He would go to out. He would be able to be placed in your IR, and then you'd be able to make an easy waiver wire pickup without having to drop anybody. So again, those are the kind of options. It's kind of up to what your team in terms of personnel consists of. If you have another tight end on roster that is worthy, like a Tyler Higbee, of playing early and not have to worry about making a swap, or you have somebody that's like at least in that top tier conversation, you have an Evan Ingram or you have a Kyle Pitts, you could just make that play and then not have to worry and just kind of see how the rest of the week goes, whether or not Darren Waller plays, how he plays, and going forward. Hopefully that makes sense. I do believe it should. Good to go. Texas Made 88 says Madison or DJ Moore. Let's play Madison this week. Antonio Gibson or JSN in my second flex in a full PPR, says FRS. Also, what do you think about Waller playing? Should I pivot to Okonkwo, Johnson, or Hurst? Again, yeah. The alternative options are you either play someone early or you play someone in the late, Sunday game and or Monday game. As for your flex question, I think I'd probably play Gibby there. Full PPR, Dobbins or Sanders? I'm playing Dobbins there. We had a question coming from Tony. Tony Hines says Godwin or Connor? I'd play. Ooh, wow. Assuming it's a half PPR, I'd probably play Connor. Full PPR, I'd play Godwin. Akers or Connor? I'm playing Akers regardless of format. Follow up, we had a question from Mikey. Mikey says Kenneth Walker or Deontay Johnson. We'll take Kenneth Walker there. Will Taylor says Stevenson, Javonte, Pierce, or Godwin. Start 2. 1 flex. I play Stevenson and Godwin. Assuming it's a full PPR. If it's a half PPR, I play Stevenson and Pierce. Giants in fantasy says Khalil Herbert or Rachaad White as my RB2. I'd play Khalil if it's a half PPR standard. I'd play Rachaad White if it's a full PPR. We follow up with Carl K in the chat. He says Justin Fields or Geno Smith in a 6-point per passing touchdown format. That is a really good question. Fields in a 6-point per passing touchdown format does not have as much upside, but I think the rushing upside still clears. I'd go with Justin Fields there against the Green Bay Packers. Moving on, we have Jesus. He says Zay Flowers or James Cook. We'll take James Cook there. Ned Payne says DJ Moore, Drake London, or Raheem Mostert. I'll take Raheem Mostert out of the bunch. Thank you. P. Ryan or Ayuk? I'll take Ayuk there. Rachaad White or Breece Hall? Rachaad White. Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me travel on over to Underdog Fantasy. Again, I'm going to be putting together a pick'em slip here, giving you guys a little bit of context as to how exactly you would do that. For those of you who are interested, again, if you want to take advantage of the opportunity today, you can have my rankings sent to you from my email directly to you every Sunday morning from weeks 1 through 18, which will consist of by position, by tier, all primary positions: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, and defense. Half PPR, full PPR, includes flex rankings, top 120, top 100, depending on what time of the week it is. Again, all of that available every single Sunday morning. All you got to do is travel on over to Underdog Fantasy, use code Andrew, and make a first-time deposit minimum of $10. So you'll get the rankings every week. You'll get the first-time deposit match. And of course, as of this current moment in time, for those of you who go ahead, you will also get a secret mystery pick'em special where it's pretty much a free pick'em that you can put together into a slip and take advantage of it. So let me go ahead, let me travel on over, and let's hope that the football doesn't scare you guys too much. So we're over here via Underdog Fantasy. Again, as of right now, there is a special pick'em that is featured. As for Saquon Barkley going over 0.5 total yards, fantastic. We take the higher on that. Now, in regards to all of the potential here, now these are grayed out because maybe they're being shifted. I don't know if they're being shifted. They may be even just taken out. We'll see. But there's a lot. I mean, there's offense, there's defense. I mean, does anybody know IDP leagues enough to where we can get some like huge defensive upside here? You know, some of the plays that I was mentioning on yesterday's must start episode specifically was like, I really do like the idea of taking Joe Mixon going over or higher specifically on his overall receiving yards. It actually went up. Since yesterday's video, it went up 2 yards. Like I'm telling you, man, there are numbers here that Underdog doesn't have correct that we could take advantage here if we are just quick enough to do so. I also think that Nick Chubb, his overall, what is it, fantasy points? It's not rushing yards, it's fantasy points. It's still the same, but it's still relatively low as the comparison, as really what it should be. But everything's for a half PPR scoring format, if you're wondering. I'm going to go and I'm going to scoop some of the players I really like going into this week. Where are some of the guys that I was like pretty confident with yesterday? Where are they? I got to scroll a little bit. J.K. Dobbins, his number moved up a lot compared to yesterday, actually. Wait, did it go up or did it go down? Huh. You know what? I'm going to actually check real quick. Let me go look at where did I have him yesterday. Let's see here. Where is it? Boom. Let's go find this. Yesterday, he was at 59.5 rushing yards. And then it moved to 60.5. And now it's down to 58. Thank you very much. We'll take that. Okay, moving on. They moved up Gus Edwards' rushing yards, by the way, because they're assuming this is going to be a blowout and that Gus Edwards will get more rushing attempts and more utilization in the second half. I mean, it makes sense to an extent, but I'm still all in on the J.K. Dobbins train. Let's see. What do we have here? What do we have? What's another? Oh, yeah, another one of those plays that I liked. Man, where's Calvin Ridley? What are we at? 10.95. Dude, I mean, thank you very much. What is that? Receiving. Wait, whoa. What was that about? What was that animation? What was that? I mean, I'm taking it. 62.5. I'm pretty comfortable with that number. Man, everything's grayed out. They're readjusting all of the lines as we probably speak. As soon as I hopped in there, they're like, you know what? We got to change it up for Andrew. This number has been fluctuating a lot. Their rushing attempts, it was lower yesterday. It's moving up. What else do we have here? What's another one of these plays that we liked a lot yesterday? Where's Derrick Henry? Does he have anytime touchdown? Nope. Okay, keep it moving. Anytime touchdown for Derrick Henry last season was a absolute monster. If they have that for Tony Pollard, I'm probably going to take it. Anytime touchdown for Austin Eckler is always good. Let's see here. I got to go find Tony Pollard. Man, they have everything grayed out right now. They're readjusting all of the lines. Yo. Khalil Herbert, 51.5 rushing yards. What was he yesterday? Khalil Herbert in comparison was, and I quote, 49.5. He's moved up to 51. I still take the higher on that. We are moving on. Give me the Sunday night football game, please and thank you. Where is he? I'll take Tony Pollard anytime touchdown. That's the 5 players I'll go with. I'm moving with a nice $10. Submit that. Thank you very much. 10 to potentially 20x. That's what I'm rolling with. If you guys are interested, again, you can check out the link down in the description. Head on over to Underdog Fantasy. Sign up today. Otherwise, I'm going to get back to answering some questions. I do appreciate it. But again, try to take advantage. I mean, you don't have to have like a 5-leg monster on this overall week. You could just Let me scroll back to the very top. Like the Saquon Barkley play is gone for me, but if you want to take advantage of it, go for it. You can just put it with one player, try to instantly double your money, just knowing, hey, I know for a fact X, Y, or Z player is going to do this statistic at a base minimum. Keep it moving. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All righty. Let's move back here. Final thing I want to mention before I continue answering questions. Again, I'll be back tomorrow morning. So if I don't get to your question, fantastic. It's unfortunate, but hey, I'm trying my best to answer everyone's questions to the best of my ability. If I could stay here all day and not strain my, my talking voice, that is the moneymaker, I would try to, but it's tough, man. It's tough. Final thing I wanted to mention, just like I'm wearing, as we currently have on screen, greetings and salutations, fantasy football, the Andrew Kirchhoff YouTube channel. For those of you who want to continue to support the channel, you can check out my merch. Again, you can travel down to the description, check out andrewkirchhoffshop.com. The 1.01 brand is officially available. So if you guys want to support in that regard, rep the channel, rep greetings and salutations and support, there's another way to do so. Thank you very much. Again, the tie-dye hoodies that you guys can see on screen that are on the website, those are in limited capacity. So if they do run out, they will not be coming back. They're in special edition in that regard. And those specific 3 hoodies are all Champion branded. So really high quality stuff, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Let's get into answering a couple more questions here. We had a question from D's Nutrients. Says, questions too long, post below this. Okay, now I got to scroll up. Let's see here. Where's D's? D's says, where are you, D's? 12-team, full PPR. Drop Quentin Johnston for Mingo. 12th in waiver. League mates super reactionary. Quentin Johnston certain to quote-unquote bust early on. I don't mind the move. Again, Quentin Johnston is going to have a lot go for him, specifically players getting injured in that offense, because he's not even considered a starter. He is a backup, even behind Joshua Palmer. So at the moment, if you want an earlier kind of commodity that could end up making contributions to your team, Mingo would be the way. Braden Cause says, what should I do with Cup? 14-team league. You can either sell and get, not a great overall kind of, honestly, who's going to trade for him? If someone trades for him, they could end up throwing their entire season. And then if you wait and then you lose 4 weeks in a row, you start 0-4, you have 14 weeks, you have 10 more weeks to kind of turn it back around, and you don't have any other injuries that are really holding you back. I think it's a matter of like what you expect the rest of your team to do in the next couple of weeks. If you can win 1 to 2 games in the next couple of weeks without Cup, you hold them. But if you can't, and you're thinking, man, this is a competitive league, 14 teams, only 6 make the playoffs. If I start 0-4, I'm pretty much done. You have to move them then, right? Ali sends in a donation. Thank you very much, Ali. I appreciate that. Says pick 2 flex. We have pick 2 flex, and my third wide receiver in a PPR scoring format. We have Juju, MT, London, Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, Lazard. My 3 wide receivers as of right now are Smitty, as in the Slim Reaper, Amari Cooper, and London. Okay, that's good. I'm not changing that at all. Trade K3 for Ridley. I have Breece Hall, DC, AL. Who's AL, man? You're throwing a lot of initials at me. I don't know who the heck AL is besides like Alan Lazard. So Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, Alan Lazard for GW. What is that? That's just stock. I don't know what GW means. I know Rid is probably Ridley, but who the heck is GW? Godwin? Is that what that is? Yeah. So at this point, if we're just setting your lineup, Ollie, 2 flex and the third wide receiver out of those potential players. We're playing London, we're playing Juju, and we're playing Michael Thomas. That's what I want to do. I want to play all 3 receivers in the full PPR format. Thank you. Trojan 3559 says, in a half PPR, should I play Everett instead of waiting for Waller's status? Don't have the luxury of picking up Kincaid or Ferguson. Can you pick up Tyler Conklin? If not, then yeah, you probably have to just, unfortunately, play Everett. But again, Everett's in my top 13, 14, so I'm not mad at it. Garrett Wilson. Wait. Trade Kenneth Walker for Ridley, or Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, Alan Lazard for Garrett Wilson or Ridley. I understand now. So it's either Omega 3-for-1s, man, what does the rest of your running back position look like? Because if you're getting rid of Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook to get Garrett Wilson, you better be stacked at running back, right? Because you just got rid of 2 guys that could contribute. If you have depth, if you have Kenneth Walker and 2 other guys that are great, give me Garrett Wilson, man. 100% give me Garrett Wilson. Let's see here. We had a question from Jake Reyes. He says, Michael Thomas or Deebo Samuel in a half PPR. Deebo Samuel. Again, Deebo, when healthy, is a monster, and that's what we want. 10-team league, and then follow-up question, is the Thomas Carr connection really legit? Is Deebo a goner in terms of finishing as top 5? Deebo is only ever a goner if he gets injured. That is the biggest downfall and pitfall of Deebo, is if he gets hurt. Hopefully he stays healthy. As for Michael Thomas Carr, I guess we'll have to wait and see if that connection is actually legit tomorrow against the Titans. It'll really put it to the test, right? Ando says, do I drop Kareem Hunt for Roshan Johnson or A-Chain? I'd pick up A-Chain. Hey, Andrew, should I start? And okay, so this is from Ben Cutter. He says, should I start Watson? Okay, with Watson out, Brian Robinson, Michael Thomas, or Swift? I'd probably play Brian Robinson there. Manny T says, okay, Manny deleted his question. Never mind. Chad says, in half PPR, play 3, Madison, White, Robinson, Hall. Madison, White, Robinson. Yeah, I'm benching Hall. Hall's questionable. He didn't practice fully at all this week. He's been limited all week. He's still coming off the ACL. He's not going to get a high volume of utilization. If he's lucky, he touches the ball 8 times. Like, those are the kind of expectations that we should probably lean towards. Yeah. Ali says his running backs are Bijan, Kenneth Walker, Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall. So if you trade away Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, you have no more bench depth at running back. But then would have Garrett Wilson on your team. Honestly, I don't mind it. I think Garrett Wilson's a monster. So I don't mind it. Jeff Lee says, wide receiver 3 decision. Who should I start? Pickens, Flowers, or Addison? I'm probably leaning towards George Pickens there. I think they all could probably have themselves very similar-esque weeks of like 4 catches, 50, 60 yards. It's just a matter of who has the highest upside of a touchdown. I'm probably leaning towards Pickens there. Full PPR, Akers or Miles Sanders? I'd probably go Sanders there. I think his PPR contribution's a little bit more. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say Sanders for now. Yeah, let's just say Sanders for now. I don't know if I'm 100% in on that in a half PPR, but in a full PPR, yeah. Half PPR, I'd probably go with Akers. Kind of a little bit different, but what do we have here? What do we have? Tua or Geno start this week? I prefer Geno. Tua's right after him in my rankings. They're literally back-to-back. So they're both going to be great plays. I just prefer Geno's rushing upside. Dotson or Deebo? Deebo. Gibson or Javonte? I'd probably go Gibson there, man. I think Javante's going to be limited. I need to fill in for Watson. Is it Mims, Collins, or Lazard? I'd play Collins there. Do I start Judy if he plays or Brandon Cooks? If Judy plays, he's in my lineup for sure, Aiden. I play him over Brandon Cooks. Robert Ryan Mason says, I need to fill for okay, so we already took care of that. Cool. Matthew Benda says, Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton, Miles Sanders in the flex in a full PPR. I'd probably play I'd probably play Mike Williams there in a full PPR format. Thank you. Collins or Addison, full PPR. Collins. Again, Marlon Humphreys for the Baltimore Ravens secondary is out. He's out. All right. See, my voice is already starting to mess with me. Already. Can you imagine that? It is what it is. That's just, my genetics aren't built for talking for 17 hours straight. I don't know how people do it. I truly don't. I know how people do it. They really strain themselves, and then they're off drinking tea and honey for the next 4 hours afterward. Rest of season, says Ryan, Rodgers or Geno Smith? I prefer Geno Smith. Trey says Evan Ingram or Tyler Higbee this week and going forward. This week, I prefer Tyler Higbee. Going forward, I think the absence of Cooper Kupp will keep it close, but I think Evan Ingram will probably be the better prospect going forward in terms of fantasy purposes. Can I start Kincaid? My other my other tight end is Chigoziem Okonkwo. Yeah, you can. That's fine. I don't mind that at all. Pick 2, Najee, Kenneth Walker, Madison, and Sanders. I would play Kenneth Walker and Madison there. Dark matter. Thank you. Let's see here. Salvador Hernandez says, Andrew, you're doing great. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. 10-team PPR. I need one tight end and 2 RBs. Okay. We have Waller, Kittle. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Stevenson, Mostert, Najee Harris. Okay. So of the available, putting it out there, I'm playing Stevenson and I'm playing Najee. Boom, boom. As for tight end, considering there is the risk that is presented by Waller's afternoon Sunday night game presence, if Waller's active in the morning tomorrow, we're playing Waller. If Kittle's active in the morning tomorrow, we're playing Kittle. So that we could avoid any sort of mishap in the late Sunday night hamstring issues of Darren Waller. So Kittle plays, Stevenson, Najee Harris. Thank you. James Cook or Dalvin Cook? James. Chad. James. I have Khalil Herbert. Guy offered me Deontay Foreman / McLeod for Swift. Should I accept? No. Keep Swift. Thank you. Are you starting Waller or Juwan Johnson at tight end? I'm gonna hold out hope that Waller plays. If he doesn't, again, like I mentioned earlier, I would pick up Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys and play him. If in fact Waller's out on Sunday Night Football, Jake Ferguson's the starting tight end for the Cowboys. Or if he's not available, maybe Dalton Kincaid's available for the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. If he's not, Dawson Knox. If he's not, Tyler Conklin. There are a multitude of options that you can take advantage of. So I'd want to wait, especially the separation between Waller and Juwan Johnson. I want to wait. When we're talking about like the separation between Waller and Kittle, Waller and Higbee, it's different, right? I'd rather just play those studs and not worry. Jaden Reed, James Cook, JSN, or Pickens, full PPR. I play James Cook there, JD. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Per sources, says Higbee or Andrews. Andrews' injury is concerning. It is definitely concerning, but I think he's going to play tomorrow. And when he does, he's in my lineup. If you'd like to play Higbee, you certainly can. You and I both know. I mean, I've been banging the Higbee drum just about as much as anybody on earth this week. I don't know. Maybe Tyler Higbee is the only other person that's as confident as I am in Higbee's production this week. So I'll call Higbee tomorrow and I'll see how he's feeling before the game. But ultimately, if Andrews is active, he's in my lineup. He's too good, man. He's too good. T-Money says Kupp and Dobbins for Pollard. Man, the fact that you have to get rid of Dobbins as well. Ooh, wow. That is a tough question, T-Money. That really is, because the issue that is presented there is tough. I mean, it's an 8-team league, right? So you can get away with it. Kupp, Pollard, kind of sort of comparable. Not really. Kupp has more value. But if you want to get out from under it, I mean, you could. It's an 8-team league. How many teams make the playoffs? Like, do you think you're not going to be able to survive enough to where you're not going to get back Kupp in time after 4 weeks? Like that's really the internal question you have to ask yourself. Otherwise, man, it is tough to make that move. Mingo or Addison? I think I'm probably playing Mingo tomorrow. Hawkinson or Andrews? If tight end is for tight end this week, I prefer Hawkinson. If Andrews is hobbled. Otherwise, if Andrews, that's probably what I'm leaning towards. I'd probably go Hawkinson over Andrews because of the hobbled nature. I had it differently earlier this week. I had Andrews ahead of Hawkinson on my tight end video. I've swapped it since because Hawkinson's healthy in comparison, and I think he has just as much potential upside in the matchup against Tampa Bay. Beans and Frank and Beans says, okay, if you guys know the reference from the offense, you know the reference. Anyway, Pittman Jr. or Terry McLaurin full PPR. We will take Terry McLaurin. Komet or Higbee? Higbee. Ayuk or Rashad White? Rashad White. Awesome. Okie dokie. Warren or Deion Jackson? I'll take Deion Jackson this week. Yep. Sutton or Dotson? If Judy sits. If Judy sits, it's Sutton. Yeah. If Judy sits, it's Sutton. Rashad White or Jamal Williams? Full PPR. Full PPR gives Rashad White the bonus there. That would be my suggestion. All right. Alvin says in a half PPR, Charbonnet, Davis, Elijah Moore, or Kittle if streaming Higbee. At this point, if Kittle plays, he's the number one there. If he doesn't, I'd go with Gabe Davis. Thank you. All right. So, again, another reminder. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back here at a base minimum of 8 a.m., if not earlier. Maybe Andrew sleeps at 3, wakes up at 6, streams at 7. There's a possibility of that. Either way, I will have updated rankings on screen for half PPR, all 4 primary positions. That should answer questions. We will have more information, obviously, tomorrow morning in regards to all of the different injuries. Hopefully, everything will be good to go. Hopefully, we go out without a hitch. Hopefully, the weather dissipates and there's no rain. These are all hopeful measures. We'll have to wait and see what chaos is presented to us for week 1. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll answer a couple more questions on the way out here. Just a couple reminders. Again, if you guys have not yet already, do me a solid. Click the like button. It really does help out a lot. If we can get as many people that are in these overall live streams to like the overall live stream as much as you guys are present, it really does go a long way in terms of boosting the algorithm, continuing to support the channel, and allows me to continue to make daily fantasy football content. Additionally, for those of you guys who want to make sure you have my rankings for tomorrow morning, sent from my email directly to yours, check your spam folder. You can either, first and foremost, check out Underdog Fantasy, make the first time deposit after using code Andrew. Minimum of $10 is the first time deposit. You'll get the deposit match. You'll get my rankings tomorrow morning, which will include all positions, half PPR, full PPR, all of that jazz. Weeks 1 through 18, you'll be set. Or if you're not eligible based on your location, or you've already signed up using the code in a prior season or with a different code, all that kind of jazz, you can check out Patreon if you're interested. Greatly appreciate that. You can ask me however many individual questions you want. It's unlimited there on Patreon. So if that's something that appeals to you, fantastic. Take advantage of it. I appreciate the support, guys. Let's answer a couple more questions before we head out here today. If we can break 400 likes, that would really, really, really cap this off as a successful Saturday live stream for start and sit questions. Appreciate it. Cooper or Ridley, says Matt. I play Ridley this week. Flex flex full PPR, Godwin, Lockett, or Mostert. I'd probably go Lockett there. I like Godwin second. I like Mostert third. Charbonnet, Freiermuth, or Higbee. I'd take Higbee over the 3 options. About to sub from all the YouTube accounts. What is it? Thank you very much, Deez. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, go to all the YouTube accounts in your house and just sub. Thank you. Appreciate it. John Zavala says, Jonathan Mingo or Deontay Johnson in a full PPR. I play Deontay there. Flex Addison or Ayuk. I play Ayuk. Mario Robles says, rank Sutton, Addison, or Pickens. So regardless of whether Judy plays, I have Sutton number 1, Pickens number 2, Addison number 3. Logan Melgoza says, Rashad White, James Conner, Jamal Williams, Terry McLaurin. Pick 1 running back and 1 flex. The flex is Terry. The running back is Rashad White. Thank you. Appreciate it. Much love. Moving on, we had Stroud or Ritter as a question. TC915. I literally have Stroud as my number 31 ranked quarterback, right in front of Joshua Dobbs, who's my number 32 on the week. And I have Ritter somewhere like 30. I think Ritter's so Ritter is just slightly ahead of him. I go with Ritter. Thanks. Judy or Dotson. If Judy plays, he plays ahead of Dotson. Start James Cook or Dalvin Cook? James Cook. Manny. Mike Williams or Addison? Mike Williams. Drake London or Dameon Pierce? Only Dameon Pierce in a standard and a half PPR. Drake London in a full. Addison or Charbonnet? Probably Addison. Akers, Dotson, or James Cook? I'm taking Akers there. Rest of the season, Mims or Mingo? I probably go Mingo. Actually, man, Mims is a talented son of a gun. He really is talented. In comparison to like the current skill level and or cap, man, we hit 400, guys. Much love. Let's go. In terms of the cap of where Mims is in comparison to Mingo, I think Marvin Mims has more upside. And the quarterback play certainly helps kind of lead in that direction. So I'd kind of leave it in there. McLaurin or Brandon Cooks? McLaurin, 100%. He practiced fully on Thursday and Friday. We're good to go. Deontay Johnson, Sanders, Terry McLaurin, flex full PPR. Give me McLaurin there as well. Mittens. Let's see here. Chris All In says, Miles Sanders or Deion Jackson or Michael Pittman? Give me Sanders. Komet or Higbee? Higbee. McLaurin or Deion Jackson? McLaurin. Higbee or Goddard? Higbee. Pierce or Addison? Pierce. Deontay Johnson, Miles Sanders. Okay, we already took care of that one. Cooper, Ridley, Olave, pick 2. Give me Ridley and Olave. Drake London or Brian Robinson in a PPR. I probably take the running back. I think Brian Robinson finds the end zone tomorrow. Trey Kerb, 47, says Zay Flowers, Judy, or Addison. If Judy is active, he plays. If not, it's Zay Flowers. Thank you. Musgrave or Chigozimo Okonkwo? I prefer Chigozimo Okonkwo, just slightly ahead of Musgrave. He'll be on my rankings tomorrow morning. Good to go. Woo, man, we are moving, aren't we? I do appreciate y'all. You guys make this very enjoyable. Hopefully, everything goes well tomorrow. Hopefully, if anything, we just avoid injuries, man. That's all we're looking for. I need to stay healthy. These teams need to stay healthy. These players need to stay healthy. That's the hope. Mark Andrews or Juwan Johnson tomorrow. Again, if Mark Andrews is active, he's in my lineup. No question about it. Hollywood Brown or Jacoby Myers are my only options. I'd probably play Hollywood there then. If he plays. Again, he's been limited all week with that hamstring injury. It's going to be tough. See you at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Listen, I said maybe 7 a.m. You never know. We'll see. Okay? We will have to wait and see. Stafford, Love, or Daniel Jones? Give me DJ. Javonte or Jahan? Jahan Dotson. Hopkins or Sutton? Hopkins. You think Waller will be good to go? I'm hoping he'll be good to go. If he's not, we'll have alternative options available. Conklin, Bellinger, Ferguson, Kincaid, Knox. Someone's got to be available on the Sunday or Monday game. Zay Flowers or Debo? Debo. Waiver, Stroud or Ritter? Ritter. Yeah, I'll take the second year and the easier matchup. Swift or Javonte? Swift. Yeah, Swift. I think we're good. All right, guys. I think that's where I'm going to call it. I do appreciate y'all. Again, tomorrow morning, probably around 8 a.m. If it's earlier and you're on the East Coast, you'll see me live, okay? But otherwise, wake up, get a nice cup of coffee, open up YouTube, open up Andrew's stream. If I'm on, I'm on. If I'm off, I'm off. I'll eventually be there at 8 a.m. And when I am here, I'll have updated rankings on screen. We'll have everything ready to go. And hopefully, we'll get everything off without a hitch. Thank you, everybody, for watching today. I'm going to cue the very classy double helix. We're going to let that kind of slowly kind of progress us out of today's live stream. Judy or Hopkins? Even if Judy's active, I'm playing Hopkins, like I said. Kenneth Walker, Herbert, or what's the last option there from Pyro? Or Cook? Kenneth Walker and Herbert are my suggestions. Gio says Madison, Deontay, Hopkins, or Lockett. I'm going Madison and Lockett there. Thank you. Okay. That's it, guys. I appreciate y'all. Until next time, I cue the music, and I will see you guys. Peace.